Hey everybody, in this video, we're going to share the things we did right and the things we did wrong on our first trip to South America.
And thankfully, there were more things on the right list.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean.
And I'm Deb.
And welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to talk a little bit about some of the rights and the wrongs, the things we did right and the things we did wrong on our first 4-month kind of foray into our digital nomad adventure.
So we were actually driving, and we sat and we made a list just to kind of go through and to help us for next time.
Yep.
We're going to actually start with a couple of things that fell both into the right and the wrong. So
I feel like we did more right than we did wrong.
Our right list is very long.
We'll see how it goes.
So the ones that fell into both categories, the first one is packing.
Yeah.
Now, this was a little bit difficult because we were going to warm weather. However, we knew we were taking a 2-week cruise.
Yeah.
And so
a two-week cruise to Antarctica.
To Antarctica.
Yeah. So
I felt like what we got right was packing the appropriate cold weather stuff without maybe going overboard on it.
Yeah, I think for cold weather, really all we had was a base layer, right? And then we had a stocking cap, and we took gloves and a puffy coat. And that was really all we had for cold weather. And that was just right. Because the nice thing about puffy coats is you can compress them up real small.
I had actually brought some hand warmers too, and those came in handy. Now
you brought too many of them though.
I probably brought too many of those. Yeah. So I will say, you maybe think, well, it's just 2 weeks. Do you need all that? And it was cool.
In Antarctica, you needed the stock, you needed the beanie, you needed the gloves, you needed the puffy coat. Yeah, it was that cold.
So that part of packing I felt like was really good. But we also overpacked. Yes, I brought too many hand warmers.
But there was more stuff that we overpacked.
There was more stuff. I remember I brought a dress for the cruise thinking, maybe I would need a dress for the cruise. Never wore it while we were on our vacation. And for electronics.
I had too much electronics. Like I was so worried about what if I lose this cable or what if I lose that cable. And so like in some cases I doubled up and electronic stuff gets heavy fast. So it was too much electronics. Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to learn from that for our next leg, which will be down in Mexico.
Yep.
So the other thing that fell both into the right and the wrong category was cash.
Yeah.
So what we absolutely did right is we had researched what we should use as basically an ATM card down in other places. And we got Charles Schwab accounts.
Yes, a Charles Schwab checking account.
And we were able to use those to get cash out without the fees.
No ATM fees on any side. Charles Schwab doesn't charge an ATM fee. And then whatever ATM fee the other bank charges, Charles Schwab will refund it back to you at the end of each month. So it works great.
That was great. That was definitely a big on our part.
Yeah, this is really important in South America because in some countries like Argentina, they were like limiting how much money you could take out at a time. And so it was like, in some cases, $40. That was the most you could take out from an ATM machine. And then on top of that, it was like a $8 or $10 fee each time. So if you wanted to get the equivalent of $100 out, you had to do it twice. Yeah. And you had to pay the fee twice. So Charles Schwab refunded it to us.
And I do believe there's other companies that you can go through for an ATM. That one, it just worked really well for us, and we're going to stick with it. So
for sure.
Okay. The reason that cash fell into what we did wrong also, because it's kind of got a double whammy, is I never felt like we had enough small bills.
Small bills for sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, for tipping, or sometimes it's even nice when you go to a restaurant, like, I know the servers appreciate it if you leave a cash tip. It goes straight into their pockets. So going forward, I feel like we discuss this every time we used to go on vacation too. Always need more cash.
More small bills. It's always more small bills. We don't need lots of cash. We don't need to be carrying around a bunch of money. We just need small bills. The other thing we found, since we were in capital cities, we were in Montevideo and Buenos Aires and Asuncion and Santiago, most everybody took credit card. But where we did want to pay cash, if we had a big bill, even the equivalent like a $20 bill, people would ask us if we had smaller bills because they're just businesses aren't carrying lots of small bills for change.
And I would say always keep some cash on hand anyway. Before we went to Santiago, maybe about a month before we go is when they had their big power outage, not just in Santiago, but throughout the country. And also this morning on the news was Spain and Portugal is going through a power outage. And somebody at the airport said, you can only use cash at the store. So just keep that in mind. Yes, credit card is widely accepted, but it's
not
good
accepted when the power's out.
It's good to have it on hand.
Yeah, cash. Yeah.
Okay. Some of the wrongs, and these are just reflections on what we would do differently, maybe. Well, one was the Buki bus. So the Buki bus is actually a ferry. It's a boat.
It's a very big ferry.
It's a very big ferry. And we took it from Buenos Aires to Montevideo.
Yep.
And I booked that because it was a direct boat, a direct ferry.
Yeah.
But the other option you have is to take the ferry over to Colonia del Sacramento. And you take the boat over there and then you have to get your bus onto Montevideo. Well, at the time I thought, well, I don't want to do that 2-step process, even though it's a little bit cheaper. But from everything we've read,
we missed an experience.
It's worth an experience going to Colonia del Sacramento.
So it's not that taking the Buki bus was wrong.
Yep.
It was, we should have, instead of taking the Buki bus straight to Montevideo, we should have gone to Colonia de Sacramento and had that experience.
So as you can tell, if you're watching this, the other thing that we got wrong is, and we still are trying to improve this all the time, is how much footage we take.
Yeah.
And so we quite often when we put our videos together think, oh, we didn't even get any footage of that. Or
it's always hindsight.
It's always hindsight.
So we were putting together our Santiago video and we're like, man, we didn't even take any footage of the hotel we stayed at the whole time. Yep. We were there for 10 days, something like that. And we didn't take any footage of
and
the hotel.
Fabulous Latham
Lounge. The Latham Lounge. I think we were just so amazed by the Latham Lounge that we didn't even bother taking any footage of it. It was fault on our part. So
some more footage.
More video footage. We'll try to do better. Yeah. Okay, so that's the stuff that we did wrong and kind of right and wrong, right? So let's talk about the right list because I think that's more positive.
I also feel like too, what's right for us might not be right for you.
That's true.
So some of these categories were right for us.
Yeah.
And the first one I'm just going to say is selling everything.
Oh, selling everything was right for us. Yeah.
So whether it was selling it or I can't even imagine how many boxes we took to Goodwill and Savers.
Yeah. Or gave to family. Yeah.
But just being free of our house and our stuff, we currently have 1 bedroom in our daughter's apartment is amazing. Yeah. We don't worry about stuff when we're out traveling and out and about. It's just not a concern. So that was definitely a right.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who question, well, why sell your house? Why not Airbnb it? Why not turn it into a residual income? And for us, we don't want to worry about renters. We don't want to worry about, does a pipe break? And we have to worry about, getting a new water heater, all that stuff.
Also for us, that really wasn't an option because our HOA didn't let us.
Yeah, good old HOA said not allowed to do Airbnbs. So it wasn't even an option really for us. So, but being free of it is really awesome.
So the next thing, and this is kind of another big one, is Cigna Global.
Yeah.
And again, other health plans might be better for you. We actually tried to get in another one we thought we were going to get into and they wouldn't cover me. So for us, we wound up with Cigna Global and that was like a lifesaver.
So if you follow along, you'll know that in Montevideo, Deb got food poisoning, had to be in the hospital for 4 days, and it was hard enough navigating. The healthcare professionals were amazing. They were really good, but navigating the language barrier when you're in a hospital and trying to figure out clinical items, that's hard enough.
Yeah.
Knowing that Cigna Global was taking care of everything for us, oh my God, that took the weight off me.
So it was a pretty large hospital bill, but we just had to pay our deductible with Cigna and they covered everything else.
Yep, took care of it. And they worked directly with the hospital. It was direct bill. So we didn't have to file claims or any of that kind of stuff.
And then also, when you're in South America, just so you know, Sean had ear issues, and we didn't even use our insurance because it was so inexpensive.
Healthcare was so cheap. So I'm going to say that's something we did right. Like maybe a little slow, but I should have. I went to the doctor. I wasn't afraid to go to the doctor. I took care of it. And
that was in Paraguay.
Yes. Don't forego going to the doctor.
So one of the other things that we feel is we got right anyway is a hop on, hop off bus.
Oh yeah.
It is a great way if you want to get around a city and see lots of sites without paying, a lot of paying or navigating the bus system. You can do a hop on, hop off bus. It's going to stop at all the highlights. You can get on and off as often as you want, and just be strategic about it. So for us, if there were sites that were within walking distance of our Airbnb, we didn't get off because we know we can see those. Yeah, we can walk to those. But then the things that were further away. So the other thing, in Buenos Aires, this worked out really good for us. We saw a lot of top sites. And then in Montevideo, where I had just gotten out of the hospital, I wasn't feeling good, but we wanted to see more of Montevideo. We didn't even get off on that.
Yeah, we just relaxed.
It was more of a joyride to see the city.
Tourism. It was fun.
And we just, rode the bus. I think we got off for lunch and that was it. We just rode the bus around town and saw different sites and that was good. So
look, I got to tell you, before Buenos Aires, I was a little judgy on the hop on, hop off bus concept because I was like, so touristy. Like, why would we do that? You guys, if you haven't done one before, give it a try. For us, we found, and now we're talking about it, we're going to London. We know, we're going to do the hop on, hop off also early in London so that we can go around and see the areas that we want to go back to, figure out, kind of help shape our game plan.
Yes.
So, I'm glad that she talked me into it because if otherwise I would have been like, nah, let's not do that. Totally cool.
So they will be in our going forward plans too.
Yep.
Okay. So the other thing we like to do too, we've done a few of these, is food tours. So if you can hit a food tour early on, so when we're staying a month, it's nice to get it early on. You get to get a different taste of a few different restaurants. And then it's good because then you kind of know, okay, well, these ones, you're spending a month there and these were ones we really enjoyed. Also, when you do a food tour, you're going to get a little history behind it, from your guide of your neighborhood or wherever the neighborhood the food tour is. So that's definitely a plus.
The other thing is you get to try new things. There are local cuisines that you're going to get exposed to. I'm glad it wasn't on a food tour, but when we were in Asunción, Paraguay, it was one of our followers on TikTok was like, hey, you got to try chipa.
Yeah.
And we fell in love with it. So,
So the other thing that I have in our right category, but with room for improvement,
there's always room for improvement,
is our apartments. So our Airbnbs, I spend so much time reading through reviews, looking at locations, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like we hit it pretty good on this first leg of our journey.
She did outstanding. You knocked it out of the park on these.
But I also mentally always, there's always room for improvement.
I get it. But I asked, she was like, well, what do you want out of an apartment? I'm like, well, I'd like it to be somewhat modern. I'd like to have a balcony. If we can have a balcony, I love having a balcony. Nice. I need strong, fast internet. That's it. And I need a comfortable bed.
Bed is important.
Yeah, I have back issues. So having a comfortable bed. So she uses the search feature. She looks to search for the comments to see what people see. Honestly, if we could repeat those Airbnbs over and over again, they were great.
Yes, they were very good.
Can we always find something a little better? Maybe, but I was really happy with our choices.
So one thing we decided to take with us, and we use these when we're not traveling too, if we're staying with our daughter, is laundry sheets.
Yeah.
So instead of laundry liquid, they're just sheets of laundry.
They're called Earth Breeze. They're literally, they look like a dryer sheet almost.
And those are great. You can they don't take up any space at all. Just throw some in your, suitcase in a baggie or whatever. So we bring those and dryer sheets with us, and that worked out really well. Yeah.
Here's the funny thing though, is I know a lot of the places we ended up just air drying some of our stuff because either the dryer was taking too long, or we just had a dryer rack on our balcony, so we just dried them there. Didn't necessarily need the dryer sheets.
The locals do, so why not us?
Yeah. So and it worked perfectly.
So budget. So I keep on my computer a budget for the year, basically.
Yes, she does.
Yes, I do. And I try to stick with it. And I felt like we did pretty good so far on our budget. We knew going into our first leg of this that some of the places would be a little bit more expensive. But then also I knew that we had places where we would cut costs. So I knew when we got to Asuncion, Paraguay, that was going to be less expensive. It kind of offset Buenos Aires and Montevideo a little bit. And same when we got to Santiago, like we stayed in a hotel for 10 nights. We paid for 5 of them, but we had access to a club lounge, which meant every breakfast and dinner was free.
Yeah, the other 5 were done on points. So basically for the cost of 5 nights, we got 10 nights and we got our breakfast and dinner.
Yeah. And the 5 nights in Santiago, surprisingly, were not expensive either. So that was pretty good.
It was great.
Okay. When you are trying to stick to a budget, free or low cost activities are always good.
Walking. Lots of walking.
Walking is free, and we enjoy it so much, especially when we're traveling. Not that we don't enjoy it when we're not traveling, but when we're living abroad, I guess I should say, because it's what we're doing now.
We're living abroad.
But you can, just seeing, you're in different cities, there's different parks, there's different architecture. So just walking is a free activity, and that's great.
Some of the museums we went to were free.
And some of the museums were free or low cost.
Or very low cost. Yeah.
So you can, usually wherever you're traveling or living, if you're doing like us nomading, you can find pretty inexpensive activities. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. For us, like you're in a brand new city, us just walking, like we actually in 2 different cities, one we paid for. So in Buenos Aires, we paid to go into the National Cemetery because that's where Eva Perón is buried and it's a thing. But then when we went to Asuncion, we walked through the National Cemetery too. It's, it's kind of an interesting way to explore and see some of there's previous history lessons in those. So, and it was free in Asuncion.
eSIMs.
Oh yeah, eSIMs. You guys, for us, again, what was right for us might not be right for you. But we were in South America. We've had good experience in Ecuador and Colombia with a company called Claro. Claro is basically like if you think about T-Mobile in the United States. And so we went to every country we would go to. So when we land in Buenos Aires or we land in Asuncion, we would go find a Claro store and we would just buy a 30-day package because we were going to be there for a month that came with, usually like 12 to 17 gig. And it cost anywhere from, I don't know, $10 to $15, somewhere around there. We'd add the eSIM to our phones and have access to Google Maps, basically 4 and 5G data. So it was great.
So the other thing that we put on our right list was meeting new people.
Man, yeah. and guys, introvert, not really. I'd go out and meet new people.
But it was just a combination of, meeting other nomads was just absolutely fabulous. They would reach out to us and we said yes. We would meet out with them with a little convincing.
Yeah.
But then also meeting locals. Like when we were in Paraguay, going out to the farm, our guides on our tour. So sometimes just
talking to their servers sometimes. God, man, South America was super friendly. Asuncion was a little over the top friendly. They were amazing. Or all of Paraguay, actually, anywhere we went in Paraguay.
But we do enjoy meeting the locals and fellow nomads. So.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm going to throw in is that, we're building our own community of followers. And so we'll ask questions to our followers and say, hey, we're in Asuncion, what should we do? And it's amazing. People will reply back and say, hey, go to this park, or hey, go to, everybody said go to Bolsi when you're in Asuncion.
You should go to Bolsi.
And you should go to Bolsi if you're in Asuncion. Yeah. And it's a restaurant. And it's really cool, not just to meet people in person, but to, meet people in our community that are giving us recommendations. So keep doing that, please. We love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of it. I mean, we've gone through our list of rights and wrongs. And like I said, I think we did more right than we did wrong. There's always improvement or always opportunities for improvement. But, if you've got experiences or things, that you've done wrong when you're traveling, or if you have things especially that you've done right, share them in a comment. Yeah, we'd love to hear them. So otherwise, leave a comment for us. Make sure you like and subscribe.
And thank you for joining us.
And we will see you in the next video.